You are listening to Survival Stories with Jacqui. Welcome, survival warriors. If you are a victim or survivor of trauma, then you're in the right place. In this show, we'll explore the extreme strength displayed by victims of trauma as they journey through life to the survival pinnacle. My name is Jacqui, and I am so grateful to be here today to share my survival with you. Here is this survival story. Let's dig deep. Hello again. And this week we're going to be talking to a very good friend of mine who has experienced trauma in her life and has made a long journey through to success today. Because as we know, trauma affects us in many different ways. It doesn't have to be physical, it can be mental, it can show itself in many forms. We just want to learn how to deal with it and to learn from people who have experienced it. So today, this is Survival Stories with Jacqui and Friends, and I have for you the fabulous Sue Booth. Now, Sue is a really successful businesswoman today. She has really built, I can't even tell you how much she's built, but she's built herself up, and she's built so many people up in her business as well. But the good thing is she also celebrates the success of those she's built up, even if she's made them so successful that they've overtaken her. That shows you the type of person that Sue is. So before I say more, here we have Sue Booth. Over to you, Sue.
Thank you, Jacqui. What a lovely welcome. Wow, that's really quite a spectacular welcome. Thank you so much. And yes, I am very successful. I've been in networking for 30 years now, and so at different stages during that, I've found good times and I found bad times. And sometimes you have to go through those bad times to find the new good times.
Absolutely.
And that sometimes causes you to reevaluate yourself, reevaluate what you're doing, etc. And then that really kind of you have to learn from all those experiences. And by learning from those experiences, you can then see how to move forward and to help others move forward with you. Because if you're in networking, as I've been for 30 years now, you need to be able to build people up, as you quite rightly said, to also, celebrate the victories. You kind of commiserate when you haven't achieved something, but even celebrate even more when someone in your team has actually achieved something before you. Which has actually happened to me.
A brilliant leader there.
Well, that's happened to me in the last month, actually. How incredible is that? So we had three people in our team achieve a level that I was after before I did.
Wow.
And you kind of go, I'm obviously not working hard enough. But it was a case of, okay, well, I need to, it's all a learning curve at the end of the day, isn't it? It's all a learning curve. But I was so thrilled to see people who'd never been in the industry before actually, and celebrate them, the fact that they achieved it way before me, which was, one of them achieved it the previous month in April. And I just thought, wow, that's incredible. And then we've got another guy who's been successful in his normal business, but not successful in networking before, and literally go from a standing start to a way beyond me. So I've just achieved a position called Diamond in this current business I'm in, and the next one after that is director. This guy's gone from zero, literally from having 4 customers, this is me holding up 3 fingers, 4 customers, to having a team of doctors, practitioners, also all sorts, and he's gone to director. Wow. And he in 6 weeks, and I'm just going, oh my goodness, what are you doing?
Just goes to show
Yeah.
what people can achieve when they focus.
Oh, absolutely. And it was a matter of the focus. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that I've learnt during lockdown, is the fact that it's given me the time. It's given me all the noise that surrounds you on a daily basis has been able to be focused on something that's actually been really, really beneficial. I mean, it's focused us. We haven't been able to go out, so we've actually focused on our business, and it's been very worthwhile. So I won't say bring on more lockdown, but
no.
it's been very, very good to us. So which has been great. But so
tell me, Sue. It's great that all is great, because we all like a nice positive story. But what I want you to help our audience with is, has it always been that way? Or was there a point where your life took a left turn instead of a right turn?
Yes. Yes, there has. A number of them. I'm going to go back quite a way now. So back to when I very first started in networking, and kind of a business decision made by my husband and his then partner had gone wrong. And not because of my husband's input, it was the partner's input. Sure. And you can't evaluate anything, when it's someone else is responsible for it. So I had to pick up the reins, if you like, to actually provide an income for our family. So that was the first one. So we went from having a very, very healthy income back in the kind of 90s to then having zero income, negative equity, just bought an old pile of a house which we were renovating, and ran out of money. And you kind of go, oh my word, what do I do now? Have you been there? Yeah. And you just kind of, all you get coming in are these bills, and you panicking and thinking, oh my gosh. And my husband was just sticking them in the drawer. So I wasn't aware of these. So what I decided to do was go into networking. I've always been quite gregarious. I'm quite personable. I like to mix and meet with people. So it just became such a way of life that it was so simple to do. And I was able to create something out of nothing, effectively. And that then became our full-time income. And my husband resigned from his position in his company, asked his partner for a divorce, effectively. Well, no, he wasn't married, but a business divorce, and joined me in my business. And then we had 20 years of exceptional growth. And so out of those hard times, you find the good times, and you appreciate them that much more. And then, kind of, we'd had a few little traumas in our life. I'd lost 5 babies in that time. Wow. And so that was a big thing to kind of pick yourself up again after each one. Imagine. And I have one beautiful daughter who's now 37, and she's the light of my life, of course. But it was just, how do you go through all that pain and then still come out the other side smiling? And so it was, had to recount my blessings that she was fit, healthy, gorgeous, and for whatever reason, the other pregnancies didn't go to full term. So got over that heap, no problem at all. And then when back in probably about 6 years ago, the company that we'd been for 20 years changed their strategy. That impacted hugely on our business and our distributors' business as well. So the people who we had in our team. And I was watching their incomes go down. I was watching my income go down. Yes. And then all of a sudden, you then have to reevaluate where you are. We made probably a foolhardy decision to resign from the company. So despite the fact that we had a massive income at one stage it was $24,000 a month. it went down to around about 4,000 a month, which is still good by a lot of people's standards. But when your excuse me, when your expenditures are in the normal of 24,000, 4,000 isn't really pocket money, which
no.
And you know, you have to curb your lifestyle somewhat. So that was our next little, not trauma. It was a great decision for us business wise, because it actually,
great decision, definitely.
Oh, it was very brave, but also you know, kind of, it was actually someone lifted the weight off our shoulders, because we were no longer trying to make amends for what the company had done or were doing. And you have to go with your heart, really, don't you? You have to go with your integrity, your honesty, and things like that. And that was really key for us. So despite the fact that a lot of people stayed, we didn't. We resigned. So we lost our income overnight, which was a bit of a shock.
I can imagine it was.
Yeah, and so yes, we kissed a few frogs. In the terms of business, we kissed a few other businesses that we thought would sit right with us, but they weren't right for us. They didn't fit us. And then literally a year ago now, I was introduced to this. But then what had happened the year before really was the thing that propelled me into looking at something that was going to change not only my life, it was going to change lives of others.
If you don't mind, let's hear what happened there.
Wow, December 21st, my grandson's 5th birthday. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, and we're with him at the house with my daughter and the family, and continue to feel a bit off colour all day. Couldn't work out why. And I said to my husband around about 5 o'clock, I think you need to take me down to A&E. I just want to check out that there's nothing wrong. Just felt odd. Felt like heartburn.
Sure.
I've never experienced heartburn. And I've never been sick a day in my life. I promise you, nothing. No childhood diseases, nothing at all.
Right.
So we got in the car, and my daughter's going, oh, should we call an ambulance? And I'm going, no, it's Christmas. Come on, don't be silly. There won't be one around. And no, it's only down the road. We'll go down. And I had the heart attack in the car. So, and it wasn't the great big, grabbing of my chest or anything like that. I just felt as though I'd left my body and come back in again. It was the most bizarre feeling.
Let me just hold that for a minute.
Yes.
You had a heart attack, which was the most bizarre feeling.
Yeah, it was a bizarre feeling.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Seriously, it felt like I left my body. When you get up too quickly sometimes and you get a head rush.
Yes.
It felt like a head rush, but I was icy cold. I apparently turned absolutely grey. My husband said, "Are you all right?" And I went, "Oh no, I don't think so." And I had the heart attack in the car, so that was it. But when I actually walked into A&E by myself, because of course if you've got the car, you've got to go and park the damn thing. So he parked the car and he said, "Wait for me here." And I said, "No, I'll just walk in, I'll be fine." So I walked in, and at Christmas everyone's in party mode, all the nurses and attendants, doctors, secretaries and what have you, they all got their silly hats on. And then some woman just banged on the desk and said, "This lady doesn't look well." And I said, "Thank you," and burst into tears. And so they kind of then said, "Okay, we'll take you through, we'll do some tests and everything." And they said, "Well, we don't think you've had a heart attack." And I went, "Well, something's happened, because I feel very, very strange." And then it wasn't for about another hour until my bloods came back, and they took blood. And there's something called troponin within your blood. And troponin is an amino acid, and it only spikes when you have a heart attack. And so the normal rate for anybody, me now, would be 14 or 15 as a count. Mine had gone to 2,500. So the surgeon came literally out of theatre, came rushed down in his scrubs, and they just said to me, well, we don't think you've had a heart attack. We're going to keep you in overnight to just check you over. So I said, fine. So I sent the husband home, sent him home. I put my phone in his pocket and forgot it, so I had no phone, which is like the lifeline nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
And and then literally they rushed down, and the surgeon said to me, well, you have had a heart attack, you know, dear. And I said, okay. He said, weren't you aware of that? And I went, well, no, because they told me I hadn't. So I just presumed I was feeling off colour.
So would you believe you're the second person this week who's had a major issue, which was they were told wasn't that serious, but was actually serious?
Yeah. Well, I was then literally, the surgeon came down, as I said, and said to me, you've had a heart attack, dear. The ambulance is waiting outside. You're going to St Bartholomew's in London, central London. So I went, okay. Where's your husband? He said. And I said, I sent him home. So it was quite amusing at the time. And they're going, and then where my daughter lives, they've got very, very poor phone signal. So even in the ambulance, I said, could I borrow your phone to text my husband? And they said, yeah, sure. Couldn't get through. So he'd gone home, had a glass of wine and gone to bed. So midnight, I arrived at St Bartholomew's, and an hour later I was having angioplasty surgery. So they put in one stent because I had a blockage in the main artery, and then 2 extra stents in because they said you've got the smallest arteries we've ever seen. So they put them in as precautionary. But that was it, really. So 3 days in hospital and came out on Christmas Eve. Happy blinking Christmas.
Let's stop there for a minute.
Okay.
Because what I want to think about is what you were feeling truthfully at that time, because you sound a bit like myself. Okay. I'm very much the type, right, what have we got to do? Okay, let's get it done. You know, I've got stuff to do, and while I'm here,
I haven't really got time for this.
I haven't. What's the quickest way? And when I had a cesarean, they said, which anaesthetic would you like? And I said, which one wears off the quickest? you know. So I understand that. But how were you feeling inside, knowing the severity of what had happened, and knowing that you had a family?
Yeah, well, and I was also by myself at St Bartholomew's
in London,
in London, waiting on a gurney bed, and in fact they had to do a procedure. They said to me, we've got an emergency coming in, but you are our first emergency, so you get priority. And I said, and I could hear the ambulance coming up to the entrance, and they said, this, and I said, so what's the situation with this person? And they said, she's non-responsive. And I said, well, you need to deal with her first. So, and they said, are you sure about that? And I said, yeah, I'm sure. I said, I'm feeling okay at the moment. I'm not in any pain at the moment, but, so yes, go and do that. So it took an hour for them to sort her out. And she was on the same ward as me, in fact. So they survived, they resuscitated her. How was I feeling? It was a very, very strange night. My father, and this is how I think trauma really affects us all and how things affect us. My father had died on the 22nd of December, and that's when I had my operation. So he died on that day, not the same year, but 5 years previously. And so she said to me, well, we need you to fill the consent form. And I went, okay, so I'm reading through this consent form. And that was it. I was in floods of tears. And she said, oh, you're all right. And I said, yes, I'm just feeling extremely mortal. And I think that's what it is. You just all of a sudden you thought, I might not get out of this alive.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing about it now. But it was just all of a sudden, I just remembered what the date was, and it was the day my dad died. And I just went, today is not a good day to die. And she said to me, sorry? And I said, my father died 5 years ago today. I said, it's not a good day to die. I don't think I'm ready to go yet. And so I signed that form.
Stop there for a minute for me, Sue. I just want us to think about that. Today is not a good day to die. Imagine that thought.
It was a very, very strange feeling.
We'll be back after the break.
Well, you've probably heard some of my story by now, and what a transformation it's made for me. So 2.5 years ago, December 2017, I had a heart attack. I'm really shocked, always fit and healthy, so never experienced anything like this before in my life. Ended up having 3 stents as an emergency operation, and came home with a massive box of drugs. I was horrified. I've never taken any medication in my life. So for me, I needed to find a solution. I'm very pleased to say that I found that solution. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it in the next part of my talk with Jacqui. And hopefully it will inspire you to do something and change something in your life. Thank you.
And we're back, and we're in the middle of Sue telling us about her feelings when she realised that the day of her operation was the same day that, well, it was the anniversary of her father's death a few years before. Back over to you, Sue. We're gripped.
You're gripped. Yeah, I was gripping the end of the bed. But so I had to sign my life away effectively. So I had to do that consent form, and I hadn't appreciated really how alone I felt right at that moment. And you know, the nursing staff and the doctor who was there were absolutely delightful. They're so lovely, and I wholeheartedly thank them for my you know, me recovering so well. But it was that few seconds of, oh my word, this, yeah, I'm having to sign my life away, you know, and it says in the form that, you know, kind of, it could be a stroke, you could have another heart attack, it could be fatal, you know, could die. And I had to put a little cross, well, not a cross, a signature on that. And the thought that, you know, my husband had no idea that I was having this operation. He was in bed, tucked up at home, after a glass of wine, after the traumatic afternoon he spent with me in the hospital.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm thinking, God, and I just went, well, if I don't come through this, I said to the doctor, I said, would you just tell my husband and my daughter that I just love them dearly? And that was, I mean, that set me off again. So it's, I waited for this other person who just arrived in the A&E as an emergency, and they sorted her out first. And then I was taken down by the surgeon for my angioplasty, which is done. I thought they put you under. No, they do it with just a general, you know, kind of a local anaesthetic, and it's done through your wrist, so it goes through your wrist. So I'm watching 7 screens with all my insides and all my veins and my heart on a bed with 6 doctors around me. So yes, it was a very, very strange experience.
I can imagine. Oh,
and
I know I keep saying I can imagine, but
I know.
Imagine.
it was the most bizarre thing. But it's when, you know, when he realised that my arteries, incredible. He said they're like children's arteries. So the stents that they put in are put in through little tubes, and so they have these long tubes that they thread through your wrist, and then it feels like rodding the drains effectively. It's not pleasant, but it's not painful. And so when he realised that they were so small, my arteries, he just said, oh, hang on a minute. So he took 5 minutes break, and he called in a whole load more doctors because he wanted them to see as well. So I'm now sitting there, lying there thinking, oh my goodness, I've got 12 doctors around me. And what is going on? So it was just very, very strange experience. And they kept on saying, are you okay? Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. Meanwhile, I'm desperate to go to the loo. And all these like things, well, why didn't you go before? You didn't ask me. So all these silly things, I didn't think it was going to. But there's set aside. I came out of that. It was a 2-hour operation, and came out, and I was fine, absolutely fine. Other than feeling slightly uncomfortable, but absolutely fine. And I think in those times, that like the 2-3 days that I was in hospital, and my family weren't allowed to come and see me until the following morning or following afternoon. My poor husband, because he phoned Romford and said, oh, can I speak to my wife? And they said, we haven't got anyone of that name here. So he's like panicking, and he's going, oh my goodness, what do you mean? Yeah, I put it there last night. And they said, oh, no, we haven't got anyone of that name. So he then had to do like an investigation, and they found out that I had gone to St Bartholomew's. But anyway, we spoke and it was fine. But it was just like, oh, okay, got that out of the way. I don't do hospitals at the best of times, or medicine. I don't do medicine.
Right with you there, sis.
Yeah. So I just wanted to get home. And they said, well, we really like you to stay in over Christmas. And I went, you've got no chance of that. And so that I said, I'll be looked after at home. It's fine. So I didn't discharge myself, but they said, no, you're okay to go home, because I had improved so much. Okay. And everyone else around me is looking like death warmed up. And I'm kind of thinking, oh, bored here. Have you got a magazine? I just wanted to get on and do stuff. So I got home on Christmas Eve at like 7:30 in the evening. Lots of tears, of course, because I think my daughter just realised how close possibly I'd come to not being around, and that made me worse. So I suppose the next year, so I gradually got better. We were living in Spain at that particular time, and I wasn't allowed to travel for 2 months because of the heart operation. And so I stayed with my daughter and her family. My husband went back to Spain. So missing each other dreadfully. And it was just, couldn't do anything, wasn't allowed to lift anything up, wasn't allowed to exert myself, but just starting to do walking and things like that. So I had a lot of time to think and evaluate what was going on in my life. And the company that I was with at that present time was not delivering on everything that it promised. And that was down to the management. A friend of mine was horrified to see that I'd had a heart attack. And he said to me, Sue, this is a year ago now, I'd love to show you something that I think will really benefit you. And we met up for a coffee and at Easter, and he said, do you take omega-3s? And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, how do you know they're working? And I went,
oh, you don't.
Well, you don't. You don't. You've got no idea. And I said, I've taken omega-3s for the last 30 years because I know how important it is for your system, for your cells and your body and everything, and for inflammation. And so he said, but how do you know it's working? Kept on repeating that. And I kind of went, well, I don't. So he said, if you and I could do a test that could establish what your food and your nutrition has done for your body in the last 120 days, would you take that? And I went, absolutely. I'd be stupid not to. Dismissed it, and I dismissed it because I'd been taking that omega-3 religiously for 30 years, and a high quality one I considered. So when I was shown the business, I had kind of, yeah, I'll take the test, but I just thought I'm going to be in balance, so it'll be fine. And, what I didn't realize is we should be in balance of 3 to 1. So 3 of omega-6 to 1 omega-3. And I thought that was the optimum. unfortunately, 97% of the population in the UK are out of balance. And I was one of them. But not just by a little bit. I was out by a lot. I was out by 14.4 was my ratio. So that means I was well into the inflammatory zone. And so all the things I've been researching about how important, and this is what I've done in between having the heart attack and joining the business that I'm in now,
Sure.
was to work out what I could do naturally. Because, as I said, I came out of hospital with 7 different drugs, big bag. It was like a suitcase full of drugs. And I went, what are these? And so he said, well, these are your drugs. And I went, I don't really do drugs. And he said, you do now, love. That was his words, you do now. I went, okay. So I knew I had to take them to help the stents bed in and things like that. And I understood that I needed to help even out my blood pressure and cholesterol and things like that. So, and I'm not silly. So I did take the drugs, hated the side effects that I was getting from them. So this whole research became kind of a complete. It took over my life because I was trying to find something to do it naturally. So I was doing juicing. I was juicing beetroot, kale, celery every morning because this was part of helping reduce cholesterol, thinning the blood naturally instead of using blood thinners, which they gave me. And I should say that every time I touched myself, I would bruise because I was on such high blood thinners at that time.
That was the effects of the drugs.
Yeah. So every time everyone going, oh my God, has your husband been beating you up? And I go, no, he just touched me. Literally would grab my arm, mucking around, and I'd have a handprint on my arm. It was that bad. So it was all the research I'd done over the 2 years nearly that or a year and a half that I was kind of recuperating, and I got fit and I'd got healthy again, but I'd put on loads of weight and I hadn't changed my diet any, so I became a bit low about that as well. So I kind of got a little bit low in my self-esteem and didn't like the way I looked, and I just felt fat and 63, 4.
It's just like a knock-on effect, isn't it?
Yeah, just kick me in the teeth as well. And then, so when I started doing this, I got my results back and I went, okay. And we were talking, my husband Nigel and I were talking, and I said, well, both of us have come back at exactly the same ratio, which was 14-1, which is understandable because we lived together. And so I said, I think we should give this a go. And I said, proof's in the pudding. If it's 4 months it's going to take to notice a difference, which is average because of the way your blood supply changes, then we should notice a difference in those 4 months. And he was doing some consultancy. I was back in Spain at the time. He was doing consultancy in the UK. So I was there most of the time by myself. And I was eating a very fresh, organic diet, which I always try to do anyway. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do all the things that you associate with having heart issues, heart problems. And I don't eat very rich food. I quite like plain foods and stuff. So I was eating same sort of thing that I've always eaten. And then I've been also taking this, what's called a balance oil. So this oil that actually redresses the balance of your ratios. And within that first month, first of all, I think I noticed was I'd got osteoarthritis in my knee, which I knew. I didn't take anything for it, but it was painful. The pain had gone after 3 weeks. And I went, oh, okay, that's quite good.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, oh, perhaps it's just because I haven't been doing too much. So I kind of went on a 10K walk, no problem. And I went, okay, that's cool. So you kind of tend to forget things when you're feeling better. You forget what you were like. So I'd gone back to doing my 10K walk every other day along the beach, which was lovely. And I said to Nigel, I've started losing some weight, and I couldn't work out why. And I said, I haven't changed my diet. And I kept on putting on clothes and kind of going, I must have got a wrong pair because they were too big. And I lost 23 pounds in 8 weeks, which
my goodness.
I was first of all horrified that something else was wrong. you become a bit paranoid after a while, I suppose. But the thing that really got me was that my blood pressure, I was monitoring my blood pressure because of the issues I'd had with my heart. And I was monitoring that daily, sometimes twice daily. And I was watching it come down from the static, with the statins, the static 140/90, which is quite high in my understanding, but not excessively. But that's where the drugs were holding me at that level.
Yeah.
I was watching it come down, 130/85, 125, coming down, got down to 112/60. So that's quite low.
That's very
And so I called, I was very lucky when we were first introduced into the business. I was invited to go to Barcelona to meet some of the corporate team and to meet some of the leaders in the team. And the reason that I chose to do that is I said I would never join another company without knowing that the top people in place were from the right place, if you understand it. So the right ethics, the right corporate strategy and things like that, because I was not going to go down that route. I'm not going to put my energy into something and not get the results that I desire out of it. So we were invited out to Barcelona. We went there. I had the pleasure of sitting next to Paul Clayton, who is the doctor who formulated the product. Now, this in itself is just mind-blowing. He said to me, Sue, I think I can get you off those drugs within 6 months. And I just went, okay, I'm now listening with both ears.
Sorry, is this doctor a medical doctor?
He's a scientist. He's the doctor who found, but he's a pharmaconutrition. So
okay.
He's the person who's formulated the products.
Okay.
He said, I don't like the way that the statins work in your system. They're really, because I said I put on weight and this, and he said, okay. He said, well, that will start to change. He said, what you're going to notice is that your blood pressure is going to start dropping as you get into balance. I went, okay. So I got to three months, and I phoned Paul, and he gave me his number. I phoned Paul and said, Paul, these are the drugs I'm on. How am I going to reduce those? How do I have my exit strategy for my drugs?
Mm-hmm.
And so he said to me, right, you just need to gradually reduce them. So, reduce it by half and then reduce down. So over that next month, I reduced them to 0. So I haven't been on any drugs whatsoever for 8 months now. It's been life-changing for me, really life-changing. But not only that, it's allowed me to focus on the business that we have and know that it's such a spectacular opportunity to change other people's lives as well and change other people's health as well. That was, my key thing.
So do you have no fears here of a return? You're just really...
No, I'm probably fitter and healthier now than I've been for years. And, and I've, as I say, I've never had any childhood diseases. I don't get colds and coughs, So coronavirus, back off. So yes, I'm wholeheartedly happy and confident that what I've done has worked for me. And I'm not saying that everyone should follow exactly the same criteria as I've done, and they should consult their medical practitioner. But a lot of them, I've never been to a doctor. The only time I went for the doctor was when I was having my baby 37 years ago. Don't think they remember me from then. And when I broke my wrist, so I had to go and see a doctor then. And that's the last time I'd been to see my doctor. My doctor has no idea who I am. I was going to say something rude then. I was no idea who I am. So that I kind of said, well, did you consult your doctor? No, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I do. So I'm a bit controversial.
Hold that there, Sue. We'll be right back.
Well, you've heard my story now. So it's what a difference it's made to my life. I am in absolutely abundant health, which I'm really thrilled to say. I am no longer on all my drug regime of 7 different drugs, and all because of a simple test validation of whether I was in balance or out of balance with my omega-6s and 3s. Now, it's made a massive difference to my health. And I'm sure that even if you have not obviously had a heart attack, but maybe you've just got something that's niggling, and it may be the cause of the reason that you can't get over that hurdle. So I would love to connect with you. You can connect me on all different things, keyforhealth.com. You can connect with me on Facebook, and I believe the link is being attached at the end of this video, and also Instagram as well. So message me and ask me how I've done it and how I can help you achieve similar results. I thank you so much. I've really enjoyed being part of Jacqui's survivor stories, and I do feel like a survivor. So thank you.
Okay, so Sue, we've taken ourselves through the heart attack, through the operations and the feelings of fear because your father had died on that day a few years before, but it has turned out quite well for you.
Mm.
What makes you believe that you're now in the right direction without medical assistance, without the drugs? Because I know you're not in no way saying everything that worked for you will work for others. You're not saying that. You're just saying it's something to think about. So I want to understand, and I'm sure our readers do too, where did that belief come from?
I've always believed in alternative healthcare from my grandmother's time. You know, when my grandmother was alive, then she used to make cocktails for us about, you know, if we had a cough or a cold, oh, you need this, or, you know, so a lot of the, I probably should have ended up becoming a nutritionist or something, or a herbalist, because I've always practiced that in that respect. So it was always trying to find something natural that would do the same job as something medicinal, pharmacologically. But I've, as I said, I've never taken any drugs in my life. I've not even had antibiotics. So, you know, I mean, and I think that goes back to the surgeon said, you're not my normal sort of candidate. He said, yes, you could lose a little bit of weight, but he said, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you eat fresh foods, you don't eat processed foods. You know, so I don't know why, but it happened. So I've always been the person who would go to an alternative practitioner and had an assessment with them rather than going to the doctor and saying I'm not feeling well. Mm-hmm. As I say, you know, thankfully my immune system has always been pretty tip-top, which is great, and I'm very thankful for it. But it's, I think that, you know, that yes, I was nervous coming off the drugs. Of course I was. I'd be silly to say I wasn't, because they'd been a security blanket for 18 months while I was in recovery. But I was so recovered and I was so back to normal. I couldn't imagine ever going, you know, kind of, you know, not wanting to come off the drugs. And, you know, I was always told you're going to be on them forever. And I just don't see the sense of that, because our bodies are incredible things. They are incredible. Yeah. And if we feed it the right nutrition, if we give it the right nutrition and the right amount of sleep, the amount of sunlight, all those things, and the right foods, then it can repair pretty well everything that we throw at it. So it's I've always been that's been my philosophy all along, is that I can do something, and I can believe that that's the way forward for me, and it certainly was. It definitely was.
So tell us about what you take, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
What's your...
I've always worked on the basis that we ought to look after all aspects of our health. And so the first thing I take is a balance oil. I've got one on the shelf and I can't reach it from here, but rather than disappear off screen. So the balance oil is a formulation of omega-3s with polyphenols. And lots of people take fish oils. And I took a fish oil, as I said, for 30 years. And it was an expensive one, way more expensive than the one I'm taking now. But it wasn't doing the job. It wasn't doing what it was meant to do. And the reason being is that people, they extract out the goodness from the oils, the fish oil. They make sure it's contaminant free, but in that screening of it, they take out the things that the fish feed on, which is the algae, and that's what has the omega-3s in it. So it's not necessarily the fish, it's the fish food that has the algae.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And then what we also do with our formulation is we have vitamin D3, which we in the Northern Hemisphere don't get enough sunlight here in the UK. We've had some nice sun weather this summer, but not normally. It's usually overcast. So vitamin D3 is a really important thing because we don't produce it so much in our system. And then what they also do is they have something called polyphenols, and these come from underripe olives. And these polyphenols attach themselves to the omega-3 and chaperone it into your body. So if you're thinking about fish oils, if you take an omega-3, it's normally rancid before it hits your stomach. So and that's not where it needs to be. It needs to go through your intestine into your, lower colon, the large colon, to actually go to do the work there, not in your stomach. The stomach acids have annihilated it already. So that's when you get those fishy burps, and I don't get that with my oil, which is good. So I take that. That works on my cellular level. I've also think it's really important to address your gut health, because our gut is our second brain. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get your gut health in good order, then it reflects throughout the rest of your body. And I don't think people put enough importance on their gut health, when they're looking at their health as a whole. So I don't take a probiotic, I take a prebiotic. And it's a time-release prebiotic that actually gets through the small colon into the large colon and goes and helps recultivate the good things in your system, as opposed to, adding more bacteria. You don't need to add more bacteria. Your body does it perfectly by itself, as long as you have the right combination of foods and things. And then the other thing is the immune system. And I think even more so now, because of what's been going on with coronavirus, everyone's looking to improve their immune system. So I take a multivitamin, which has got, again, it's very, very bioavailable to the body. And those three things work synergistically together. So they're designed to work together. So I'm looking at all aspects, so my immune, my gut, and my cellular level. And by doing that, I feel brilliant.
So when people come to you, do you have a process that you go through to assess what is needed? Or...
Yeah, I do. Because I would say probably inflammation through people's body is one of the biggest factors of ill health, whether it's arthritis, aching joints, backache, joint aches, but that inflammation goes through every single organ of your body. And that was one of the things that I researched about after my heart attack, was he said, your heart is in an inflammatory state. That's the word he said to me. Your heart is in an inflammatory state. Why? Why was it? So now to reduce that inflammation. And so having that right ratio, the correct ratio of the 6 to 3, so you increase the amount of 3s to the amount of 6 you're eating, then it means that your body balances out that much more and it reduces the inflammation. And literally we found people, I mean, like my knee, 3 weeks, it was a difference, and it's still pain-free now.
It's so important, because what I find is that people believe that if they're slim on the outside, they're fine on the inside, whereas one doesn't necessarily lead to the other. And if they train at the gym 5 days a week, then it means that they're super fit, when
it's not cellular health.
No.
Yeah, it's not. And actually, interesting. We've got a natural bodybuilder within our business who's a partner, and he is. To look at him, he's absolutely ripped. For want of a better word, he's absolutely ripped. He's fit. He's toned. He's got an 8-pack as opposed to a 6-pack. I mean, he's absolutely ridiculous. And when you see photographs of him when he's, kind of competing, which he was supposed to be doing in August, but because of lockdown, I think it's been cancelled. But he was saying that I'm competing, and seeing the photographs that he's put up, and I'm going, oh my God, Kay, you are just, you'd look at me and go, unhealthy. You'd look at him and go, healthy, and yet he was 22 to 1. We've got another fitness professional in our team up in Manchester who came back at 31 to 1.
Whoa.
That means that he's setting himself up for an inflammatory lifestyle as he grows older. Now he's in his 30s. 15-year-old boy. So in America, his mother still cooks his food, but he came back at 64 to 1. Now, to look at him, he's an absolute picture of health. You would not imagine that internally, cellular health was so bad. I mean, 64 to 1 is appalling. So he's on the rectifying that now with the balance oil. So just making sure that he's not going to go into his adulthood in that complete inflammatory zone. And however good you look on the outside, it's not that's the issue. It's the cellular health. So yeah.
Well, Sue, you've been today as fabulous as I know you are. You've given us lots to think about, and definitely taken us on that journey to survival that you've been on, which has been successful. If anybody wants to get hold of you to discuss this more, where would they go? Okay,
you can contact me on Sue. On my email at Key4Health. That's KEY and number 4 health 1 @gmail.com, or you can reach me on my Facebook page, which is Key4Health and FOR Health 1. So KEYFOR Health HEALTH and then a number 1, and that's my business page. But yes, connect with me. I'm on Facebook as well, Sue Booth. I'd love to connect with you. And if I can help anyone who's got inflammation, who's got issues that they want to, improve, then I really wholeheartedly recommend, even as a customer, this is just such a fabulous company to be with.
Thank you, Sue. Now I need to put you under the spotlight a little bit more, I think. Get to know Sue time. Trainers or high heels, Sue?
Oh no, I hate trainers. High heels.
All day, every day. I agree with you. I just wish I wasn't nearly 6 foot.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm 5'11".
Yeah.
Skirts or slacks?
Yeah, slacks, jeans, yeah. Not a skirt girl.
Are you a vegetarian?
No.
No, so grilled chicken or grilled beef?
Oh, I have chicken. I prefer grilled chicken, but I do like a steak every now and then.
Yeah, it's every now and then it's nice to dabble, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And last one, where's your most dream place in the world to visit?
My favourite holiday destination is Barbados.
Okay.
Spent my honeymoon there. Used to fly there. I used to be a stewardess years ago, so we used to fly there.
Pleasant memories.
Yes.
So Sue, as we finish, I just want you to give us in one sentence, a piece of advice that takes into account your journey and what you would want our listeners, where did that come from? Our listeners to take heed of moving forward.
Right. Be full of gratitude for every single day of your life. Appreciate all of those people around you, because we're only here for a heartbeat, really, at the end of the day, aren't we? And get your life in balance. Get your life in balance.
Thank you. And this has been Survival Stories with Jacqui and my friend Sue.
Thank you, Jacqui.
See you next week. And there we have it, another empowering episode of Survival Stories. If you had something today that resonated with you, please reach out at jacquiandfriends.com and download our free PDF. Don't forget to head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review and rating. And whilst you're online, why not join our community of warriors on Facebook at Survival with Jacqui. Look forward to seeing you there.